always thought it was cute when Tom would have his many, many reading glasses, so a part of me is thinking of having these glasses on in light of him. I was going to read a couple poems from this book, Every Event of the Year, Volume 1, January through June. Volume 2 will be coming out by this summer, I believe, if all goes according to plan. You can harangue Scars Publications for it, for the info on it. And it'll be a larger book too, approaching 300 pages. It's longer than this one. But I am going to share with you a couple of poems. These next ones I was going to do, two of them, are ones that also appear in the most recent issue, I believe, of CC&D magazine or Down in the Dirt magazine in April. So these are all very relevant pieces for being released in books right now as well. I don't know if it was in CC&D or Down in the Dirt. I couldn't tell you. But these next two poems were released in these books this month. And they're also in this book, and I hope you enjoy them. This first one is for the day the U.S. Civil War began, which is technically, I think, April 12th. April 12th. So, this one is called Quartermaster General, Burying Bodies. I believe this is from Montgomery Meigs's perspective, I believe. It doesn't say that in here, but I think it is. So anyway, this is called Quartermaster General, Burying Bodies. When I came to these United States back in 1837, I shadowed a man who later became my good friend, Robert E. Lee. I became close to him, this leader of men. I really thought he was what a Christian man should be. So we remained friends until 1861, when the war broke out here, and Lee decided to desert us, the Union Army, and attempt to lead the Confederate Army. All I could think was that this was the man that I looked up to. I modeled my life after him, and now he is now the biggest traitor than Benedict Arnold? Yes, I looked up to him, but I don't admire a man who chose to be in cahoots with rednecks who love slavery. So my only choice was to battle against this man. I'd see their house for years, with his wife Mary tending to the most elaborate rose garden. I'm sure she fumed when Robert made her leave their precious roses because of the war. And eventually, I became the Quartermaster General in the Union Army. We crossed the Potomac and eventually occupied Robert E. Lee's residence. And we even made it our headquarters when Lee fought Ulysses S. Grant. You know, they were in their 40-day bloodbath massacre, and during that time, 82,000 people were killed in 1 month. And I had to deal with all of these incoming dead Union soldiers. Every soldier I had to bury made me more and more angry at Lee. But then, my heart was broken when one of the dead soldiers that came to me was my son. My son. No father should bury their own child like this. And yes, what I'm about to say makes me sound like a quasi-madman, but I want to make sure that Robert E. Lee can never come back. And if he does, let him sleep amongst Union ghosts. Where do we put these bodies of our fallen brothers? Let's bury them right here, on Lee's property. Bury our men around his house, around his porch, and let's make a big pit for our dead in Mary's rose garden. When we won the Civil War, Robert and his wife Mary came back to find their precious home that they loved so much, and that it was turned into a graveyard. I hear that after I died, Lee's land became the heart of Arlington National Cemetery as a fitting way to honor all of our soldiers. And to top it all off, Mary's treasured rose garden became the space for the tomb of the unknown soldier. How perfect. The land that I reclaimed from the leader of the South is now and will forever be the heartbeat of America. Wow. And I say that on that was on April 12th. And actually April 13th is Thomas Jefferson's birthday. So why not do a piece about Thomas Jefferson? Because, why not? Because I can. Because it's poetry and it is for every event of the year. And Thomas Jefferson's birthday, if you can celebrate Lincoln's birthday or Washington's birthday, if people get lazy and put them into President's Day, we can care about Jefferson's birthday, right? I think a few years back I gave John Jefferson's Bible that he had pulled. He's like, let's hear the message without all of the supernatural stuff and see the moral teachings. And why am I telling you this? This is for Thomas Jefferson's birthday. And this is called Quarrel Over the Constitution. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, both founding fathers of the United States, were good friends, but they never agreed on how the government should run. They quarreled over the Constitution. John thought it was a document that could bend to change for the needs of the time. But Thomas said, no way, this is the Constitution. It is there as a structure that does not bend. But as I said, they were friends nonetheless until John Adams was president. And by 1800, President Adams made the robust declaration that it was illegal to say anything bad about the President of the United States, and the federal government will get you if you ever even think of committing this crime. At this point, Jefferson was enraged, thinking that there's this little thing called freedom of speech, and this is in direct violation of anything this country is supposed to stand for. So, when the next election came, Jefferson had to run against Adams to get him out of the presidency. So the two of them said anything derogatory about the other to win. Apparently, because Jefferson would argue for individual rights, Adam would say things like, voting for Jefferson is voting for murder or incest because he thinks anyone can do anything they want. And Jefferson was stunned that Adams would stoop so low, so he could only retort with more bad talk about Adams. Now, keep in mind, these are the founding fathers that are acting like 8th graders, especially when John Adams would say things like, Jefferson has prostitutes shipped in from overseas to have sex with them all the time. Oh my gosh. And Jefferson's response would be to go to the newspapers and tell them that Adams was actually a hermaphrodite. They had both male and female sex organs, and they actually published this, Jefferson's words, on record. At this point, Adams thought, fine, if he's playing dirty, let's play, because Adams then spread the word that Thomas Jefferson was actually dead. No point in voting for a dead man for president, right? I mean, really, the incumbent president's campaign strategy was, vote for me, I'm alive. Good call, man. Oh, jeez. So Jefferson found different ways to get him back, like calling upon a hatchet man, James Callender, to publish newspaper articles about Adams that he wanted to go to war with France. Yes, this was actually published. And yes, Jefferson won, but Adams thought before he left that he would appoint into the office below him a bunch of people who vehemently opposed everything Jefferson stands for. Which might be a proper statement on how politicians can get things done while dealing with people with opposing views, but really, who am I to judge? So, near the end of Jefferson's first term as president, his daughter died. Abigail Adams, John's wife, felt bad. Even though they had their differences, she wrote him a sympathy letter. And so she wrote this letter to Thomas Jefferson, and Jefferson responded saying, that was very kind of you. Thank you. But while I have you here, John tried to ruin my presidency, and so I truly only wish bad feelings and bad will toward you. bad will toward you. Jefferson probably wanted to use a lot more expletives, but I don't have the original letter, so I can't confirm his true words. So keep in mind that maturity level that was going on in these two founding fathers who were consecutive presidents of the United States. So at this point, Abigail said to John, "That's it. Thomas Jefferson is dead to us." And the decades went by, them not speaking to each other, until another founding father, Benjamin Rush, told Adams to just let it pass. We shared all those glorious 1776 days together. Those starting the country times were magical. So John Adams fondly reflected on the times with Tommy Jeff and decided to write him a letter, very general. "Hey, we haven't talked in a while. How are you doing? I miss you. I hope that you're doing okay." Jefferson got this letter, thinking of his once friend Johnny Ads, and he wrote a cordial letter back. After 10 years, and they were kept writing each other, and they realized that they had a lot more in common. By the end of their lives, they had exchanged 158 letters. These two were friends again. And by 1826, John Adams was on his deathbed, and his last words were, "Independence forever." They didn't know this, but they both died on the same day, July 4th, 1826, the 50-year anniversary of them signing the Declaration of Independence. Which seems like a perfect ending for a tumultuous and insanely groundbreaking friendship. If you ever thought you had it hard with friends, whether or not you forgive them or not, that's just crazy. I mean, these are our founding fathers being this way. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be killing me. Anyway, I'd like to share more poetry with you. I'm going to skip that one because I'll go to a different theme altogether. And I will share this poem with you. This is from the poem Other Souls, and it is for April 14th, which is the day that the Titanic actually hit the iceberg. Yeah, the day the Titanic hit the iceberg. April 14th. And this is a section of a longer poem that relates to that. This is from the poem Other Souls. Other souls litter history books. I wish I was on the Titanic. That sounds so like me. I'd be the rich elite on the first cruise across the ocean. But I wish I'd gone down with them. I don't care what passenger I am. The point is that people will study the disaster that I was in for centuries. Books will be written. Movies will be box office hits. All from me being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Other souls litter history books. Some may have been great. Some, as I said, may have been in the wrong place at the wrong time. And after I've been attacked, and after I've been almost killed, what? I've pieced myself back together. I've screamed my stories from rooftops. I've etched my words into stone. And no one hears me. And if they do, no one will remember. I'm giving you a moment of silence to think about that. I would like to share with you poems for Arbor Day, which I'm looking forward to doing, because that, I believe, is April 24th. Yes, April 24th. I will share with you let's start with Earth Was Alive and Dying. I had a dream the other night. I walked out of the city to a forest, and there were neatly paved bicycle paths and trash cans every 50 feet and trash every 10. And I walked deeper into the forest, managed to get away from the picnic tables and the outhouses that lined the forest edges. The roaring cars gave way to the rustling of tree branches, crackling of fallen leaves under my step. When the wind tunneled through, the wind whistled, and it sang as it flew past the bark and leaves. I walked, listened to the crack of dead branches under my feet, and I felt a branch against my shoulder, and I looked up and I could hear the trees speak to me. And they said, "Thank you for letting the endangered animals live here amongst us. We do think they are so pretty, and it would be a shame to see them go. And thank you for recycling paper, because you're saving us for just a little while longer. We've been on this planet for so long, embedded in the earth. We do have souls, you know. You can hear it in our songs. We cling with our roots. We don't want to let go." And I said, "But I don't do much. I don't do enough." And they said, "We know, but we'll take what we can get." And I woke up in a sweat. Do you even know why we should save the rainforest? Oh, preserve the delicate balance. Just tear the whole forest down. What difference does it make? Put in some orange groves, or concentrate orange juice can be a little cheaper. Did you know that medical researchers have a very, very hard time trying to come up with synthetic cures for diseases on their own? It first helps them out if they can find that substance in nature. And a tree that appears in a rainforest with a cure may be the only one of its species, or one like it may be 2 miles away instead of right next to it. I wonder how many cures we've destroyed to plant more orange groves. Serves us right. Everything is linked here. We destroy our animals so we can be wasteful and violent. We destroy our plants. We destroy our earth. We're even destroying our air. We wreak havoc on the soil, on the atmosphere. We dump our wastes into our lakes. We pump aerosol cans and exhaust pipes. And these animals and forests keep calling out to me. The oceans, the wind. Over in the wild, you have no power over anyone else. Now that we're civilized, we create our own wild. Maybe when we have all this power, the only choice we have is to destroy ourselves. And so we do. Heavy stuff. Well then, how about I'm still on Arbor Day. I got an Arbor Day party here for you. This one is a haiku, Nature 1. Wind rustles through trees, howling past rushing streams, to foretell future storm. All right, I've got a different one that was written with Dave Jarvie, and it is called Climbing Trees. You see, I was a girl. I didn't climb trees, but I always wished for a tree house, one with a ladder, so it would be easy to get to the top, so I could see the world from a different view, so I could feel like I have conquered. Big trees, more fun. That's what I'd think. Once then, when I'd go to about the height of a roof, or a garage, as a matter of fact, then the fear would set in. Not fear of falling from where I was, but of going higher. Higher than too high. What was too high? One of my coworkers decided one day that he wasn't going to try anymore, that no one cared if he did a good job, so he just wouldn't bother. And I thought, your coworkers shouldn't be your scale. You judge yourself on. You should be your scale. You should be trying because you need to know that you can be better than what you are. And then I thought, maybe he never climbed trees. Okay. I'm going to give you one more. It's a down one for Arbor Day. It is called, I'm Sure We Killed It. On the Galapagos Islands, new species of animals develop to accommodate their immediate surroundings, and everything fits with nature. Think of the trees around the world. There seems to be a tree for the needs of every animal. The eucalyptus and the koala bear, woodpeckers make holes in trees. Even think of the leaping and traversing of monkeys in the trees, or that even certain dead grasses are needed for locusts. Animals thrive around trees, producing food that they can eat. In nature, every tree has its niche, and everything fills its need. Unlike animals, we humans don't have a single tree. We cut them down for building and heating our homes. We cut down rainforests to plant more orange groves, so that our orange juice can taste worse but cost less. We cherish some for food, but destroy others. We destroy the rainforest, which counteracts the human effects on global warming. We destroy our rainforests that possibly possess the natural cures for diseases that help us kill ourselves. Maybe that's what we get. And maybe there was once a single tree for humans. I'm sure we killed it. Okay, one upbeat one and then one trend, and I'm going to be set with you. I hope you enjoy these. This one is for April 29th. I'm getting to the end of April. I am. And this one is for International Dance Day. What? Me? What? Dance? What is that? Just kidding. This is for International Dance Day on April 29th. And it is called Zouk or Zybalani. Yeah, you have to look up words. That's what you poets do, right? Zouk or Zybalani. He said he hadn't danced in a while, but when I tried and slow danced with him, he actually dipped me. It was so sweet. When we danced on our wedding day, his mother saw us talking little phrases to each other and was sure that we were planning our next moves as we danced. And maybe we were, but we were allowed. I mean, come on, it's our wedding day. Then we went to other people's weddings, danced on a boat reception. We even danced outside of the reception hall in the snow. We've had a blast dancing at concerts, sometimes even turn up the stereo after going out to dance in our living room. We may not have done the Zouk or the Zybalani all these years, but we still dance. And we dance like there's no tomorrow, and we don't care that as we get older, my hip, our joints may hurt for days after we dance like this. That doesn't matter. It just matters that we dance. Okay, I'm going to leave you with one of my more meaningful poems for the end of April. I hope that you enjoy it. And it is called People's Lives Were at Stake. And I'm sharing it with you for the April 29th day of the Los Angeles riots after police officers' acquittal after the Rodney King trial. Yeah, anyway. This is called People's Lives Were at Stake. I know everyone was talking about it after the fact. You'd hear the reports on the news about the damage done. And you'd think that we were in a war zone and that this was all done for religious purposes and people's lives were at stake. And maybe they were, and I just don't know it. I don't know. I don't know what it's... I do know what it's like to have a cause, but I never tried to close people out to it. I tried to include them, to open them up to it. But I remember deciding once to walk to a women's parade called Take Back the Night, so that people knew that women should feel safe walking alone in the streets at night without worrying about being mugged or raped or killed because they were female. Well, anyway, I was walking to this parade to take photographs because I'm a photographer, and a group of women were walking in a group to this parade, and so I walked down the street and I started walking with them, and then they were all chanting and singing, and I thought, wow, this is unity, people together for a cause. And one of the women told me while we were walking that some women there didn't like me walking with them because I was white. They were all African American, and so I looked around and I noticed that there wasn't a racial mix. And I said, well, we're all going to the same place. And the woman replied, well, some people don't like you walking with us anyway. So I turned my head and I let them walk as I crossed the street and took another block, and I got there before them. And this is how we define how we should be separated, I guess, though I still don't understand it. And during the parade, I heard about a trial case where a black man was convicted of a political brutality crime, and the black community was outraged, saying the white man was holding them down, and maybe in a way they were right, and I just don't understand it. But a large group of people started their own rally that night, which seemed to take center stage from the women's rights. I mean, hey, they're just women. What are they going to do? Bitch a little louder or complain a little more? But then again, maybe it's just a matter of deciding who has the louder voice, who has the most recent problem to complain about. I don't know. We went out that night, and I heard the next day, in light of the trial, 23 fires were started on school property, and most of them were of books in libraries. And I thought, this isn't non-resistant violence. This is out and out violent. And what they're destroying are opportunities for learning and not ideas. Yeah, but do these books hold what the white man wants you to learn? Is this how he alters our perceptions? I don't know, but this doesn't solve anything, and this isn't the answer. Then I heard about one of my best friends, a white man. He was hit by a black man in the street while they were out that night, and the doctor said that they had to have a roll of quarters in their hands or brass knuckles because this was a clean break of his jaw, and for 6 weeks his jaw was wired shut, and he had to throw pizza or meatloaf into a blender so he could eat something instead of ice cream while he tried to recover. And I thought, is this all getting anything done? Are we coming any closer to racial harmony? What are we learning from this? Thank you for the opportunity to let me read poetry from April for you guys. I hope everyone is having a very safe April, and share the poetic world with everyone. And thank you, because you all have poetic license in my book. Thank you.